Hi there. We're waiting to go on live on Facebook as well. In a few minutes, we should be live, and we are live. Hi there. Good evening. This is Harleen, and I'm coming to you live from Soul Therapy. Soul Therapy is a center for emotional and mental wellness. I am a multidisciplinary psychotherapist. I use techniques like CBT, life coaching, mindfulness, NLP, and just normal yoga and meditation for my solutions for all my patients. As usual, I'm very excited to come to you every week. We are at 9 episodes already. So awesome. Hey, hi Rohit. Thank you. Very nice to see you too. We have a great episode lined up. We're going to be talking about a little bit of COVID, why people want to step out, and how someone is unable to sleep, the motivation behind people, and something about marriage, and a little bit about feeling unproductive at work. So let's dive in without any further delay into our first question. Our first question is, I've been healthy mostly. My husband got diagnosed with COVID. I'm struggling to deal with it. Now, this seems to be something that is happening to a lot of us. Unfortunately, we are not acknowledging the psychological impact of this. So, thank you so much for writing in, Preeti. I am happy to have got this question. Um, so you have not really told me, Preeti, what you are and how you are struggling with it. So I'm going to go on a limb here and ask you if you are feeling anxious. Is there stress? Are you getting headaches? Are you sleepless in the night? Are you getting night sweats? Is there trouble eating? Are you irritable or short tempered, perhaps? Or are you feeling clumsy suddenly? What you are feeling, excuse me, if these are your symptoms that you are feeling right now, what you are feeling is jitters. There is some form of a psychological impact on you. First and foremost, do realize that it's normal. Um, there is a sense of fear around us regarding COVID. So the fact that you are stressful and anxious about it is perfectly normal. And I don't want you to be stressed out or nervous about feeling that way. Number one. Second, what you're not telling me, Preeti, is that uh, the condition of your husband. Is he in a serious situation? Is he in the ICU? Are you worried that something will happen to him? The fact that you are having trouble dealing with it means that somewhere at some point you are having trouble accepting the fact. So, if acceptance is an issue, there is some fear in your mind. That is the logical correlation. We need to understand what is that fear that is inhibiting or preventing you from accepting. Once we try and identify that, we will be able to tackle and handle this in an easier manner. Second coping strategy that I would like to share with you today is, what is an emotion? An emotion is a sense of feeling, could be positive or could be negative. An emotion comes very fast, but remember, the the time that it takes for an emotion to come, it can take as much or as little of a time for an emotion to go. So, what you're feeling is temporary. I don't want you to get nervous. Keep in mind the recovery rate right now in India is about 68%. And people who are healthy, people who are non immunocompromised, are really doing well. Yes, it is nerve wracking. Yes, it is worrisome. But have faith. That is the third coping strategy that I want to come to. We have two options, right? We can either have faith in the positive and believe that everything will be all right, or we can be fearful. When we are fearful, we are attracting, unfortunately, negativity from the universe. And when we are attracting negativity, we are rattling our own self and the people that are around us. That is something that I don't want you to do. So, anytime, especially in turbulent times, I want you to look into yourself and find the faith. How do you do that? You might ask. Well, the option is yours. And it is our decision as to how we want to deal with something. Think about it, right? Uh, it is all about changing a perspective. Do I want to get overwhelmed with that emotion? Second question to ask yourself, by feeling stressful about it, by feeling nervous about it, is it helping anyone? Third, by attracting negative energy, are your children being benefited? Is your health being benefited? The moment you start questioning yourself in a logical manner, you are training your mind and yourself to push brakes. Once you learn to put the brakes in your in the situations where you become anxious and stressful, you will train your mind to calm down. That is a very important strategy in life, and I would like you to definitely try that. So, question and ask yourself, by feeling nervous, by getting rattled, by getting worried, am I really benefiting? Are my children benefiting? Is my husband going to get better? And most important, like I said, what is it that you're fearing? What is it that is really driving you to get so nervous? There is some fear in your mind that you are not accepting. And whatever that fear is, maybe you have uh, some underlying thoughts that something bad can happen, and then you're not prepared to deal with things should that happen. If that's the case, this is the time for you to invest and learn about things where maybe you're ignorant. This may be the time to figure out where you stand and in terms of finances and emotions. I don't know what really is going on with you because you have not really shared much of the details with me. But my answer is really like a columnist. I'm like a column where people are writing to me in a magazine or in a Sunday paper. So my answer, unfortunately, is going to be exactly like that. But keep these in mind, and I'm sure if you think about it, Preeti, you should be able to deal with it. If there is something serious that you're not talking to me about, if you're really worried about how you will handle yourself and your family, before something goes wrong, this is the time to take stock of that situation and get working before things go bad. The second question that I have right now is, with so many people stepping out, I seem to want life to get back to normal. How can I do that? Um, I actually fully understand what you're going through because we see that around us. See, when COVID started, when Modi put us in a lockdown in India, I'm talking about, we didn't know what COVID was. We didn't know what we were dealing about. There was this fear of unknown, and we dealt with that fear of unknown by getting into a lockdown. Now, unfortunately, with cases rising, we are at 19 lakhs. With cases rising, we are stepping out more. We're becoming braver and stronger. We are uh, trying to get back to some normalcy. So, if you are someone who is being cautious at home, I understand why psychologically you are conflicted. I understand why you are even asking me this question, because your senses are seeing things get back to normal. People are stepping out, people are even ordering food in, they're going for drives or they're going for day out outings. But your mind, who has been trained for the last 2 months to be cautious and to think, to protect yourself, is confused. So the conflict is real. The conflict definitely exists. How do we deal with it? Let's go to that. Um, First of all, remember this. I don't want you to have a fear of missing out. That's very, very clear. Don't pressurize yourself or push yourself into stepping out just because others are doing. Herd mentality is something that you don't want to be following in this situation. Second thing is, ask yourself, why is it that you were being cautious to begin with? If there is a conflict that is happening within you, it is between the cautious side of you and the wanting to be free and liberated side of you. So you need to ask yourself which is more important. If you were being cautious, was it because there is someone at home who is immunocompromised? Is there a baby in the house? Are you somebody who's above 65 years of age? Or do you have someone at home who's under 10 years of age? If if an answer to even a single question of that is yes, then my friend, I think you should still seek caution. Um, the third thing is, know that the last known good state in your mind, the last known feeling of freedom or liberated state in your mind was prior to COVID. So it is quite natural and normal for you to feel and want that feeling and that sensation of freedom. How do you deal with it? You create that sense of freedom at home. If you feel it is important for you to step out, you need to make your own judgment there. I cannot help you. I cannot be in your shoes. Today, everyone, right? And that is what where the government and the center has also done. Everyone is individually responsible for the decision that they are taking. So I would want you to definitely be cautious when you take that decision. Can you get back to normal? No. The definition of normal has changed. So, the normal that you want to get back to, that your mind is seeking, first and foremost, is not going to happen. So, I want you to remember that. Second, that want that is there in your heart is extremely natural. I want you to acknowledge it, because when you don't acknowledge it, you are pushing it away. And when you're pushing it away, you are increasing and creating that desire. You have to just tell yourself that yes, the feeling of wanting to be free is normal, but I can't do it for XYZ reason. The moment you talk to yourself logically, your mind will understand. Remember, our mind is essentially very logical. It really comes down to how we deal with it and how you tackle it. The third question that I have is, I love my husband, but I am not able to forgive him for an incident that happened earlier in our marriage. Um, Thank you so much for writing in. Have you guys ever noticed, right? Even to all those people watching me right now, have you ever noticed this phenomenon where when things are going right, when things are going great, we are in control, everything is going fine, and then suddenly there is a blast from the past. Suddenly something hits us and we are in a pickle once again and we don't know what to do. um, there is literally it's like a blast from the past. Why do you think that happens? That is the magic of your unconscious mind. We are dealing with what is known as repressed memories. When you undergo stress or trauma in your life, what happens is when we At that point, if our unconscious mind thinks that consciously we are unable to deal with that trauma, we're unable to deal with that situation, it takes that memory and puts it in the long term storage, which is our unconscious mind, and represses it. Why is it doing that? Because the job of the unconscious mind is to take care of us, it's to serve us, it's to be good to us. And if we consciously are incapable of dealing with an emotion, it is not going to bombard us with that emotion because it knows that we will fail. And hence, and that is why you get some what is called as repressed memories. Now, when things are going fine with your husband in this case, you're happy, you're making good memories, you're feeling stronger, your bond is becoming deeper. The unconscious mind now comes down to that repressed memory and it says, hey, look, the person is stronger today. The person is dealing with that subject, in this case, your husband, in a better manner right now. So, when you are able to deal with that person and your emotion is stronger, the unconscious mind wants to pop out that repressed memory so that you can deal with it. Why is it important for the unconscious mind to pop that memory out? Because the more negative memories the unconscious mind has, the more it is working to deal with it. And the more it is working to deal with it, the more sad, lethargic, unhappy that you feel. Do you know how sometimes you have those days where you're just so sad and your shoulders are drooped and your head's like hanging down and you just don't know why? It's when your unconscious mind is struggling to stay positive. It's when the unconscious mind is doing your work of keeping you positive and dragging you instead of the conscious mind taking control of it. And that is a scientific phenomenon. So, coming back to your question, the fact that you are stronger today, the fact that you're feeling better today, is why the unconscious mind is releasing that repressed memory and forcing you to deal with it. Now you know the background. Second part, how do I deal with it? Uh, you have to be honest to yourself, right? You have to ask yourself, am I happy with my husband today? Yes, he did this incident where maybe he got physical, maybe he got violent, maybe he was unfair to your family member. I'm sure he hurt you in a way that was at that time emotionally and mentally brutal, which is why it became a repressed memory. But the fact remains that from there on, you guys have built a life together. You are happy together. You are in love. And there is a dependency on each other today. So I want you to accept that memory because it's trying to come in the forefront. So my answer to your question is number one, let that entire memory come to your forefront. Accept it. So sit down, think about it, think about what happened. Two, accept the emotions that come with it. So you will tell yourself, yes, what he did was wrong. Yes, what I felt was bad. Yes, there is pain and baggage in my heart, and I am hurt because of that. But then comes the third part where maturity and sensibility kicks in. And you tell yourself that, hey, you know what? That happened 15 years ago when we were young. We were naive. We had just got married. It's been 15 years since that incident, and we have grown in maturity. We are dealing with it all right, and it may be time for you to release that memory. The moment you tackle it, accept it, and literally tell the universe, I am at peace with what happened, and no, it does not affect me anymore because we have moved past it. That is the magic word. The moment you accept that I have moved past it and no, it does not affect me anymore, and here you go, universe, take the memory away because I am in a better state with my husband. When you do that, you will suddenly find yourself at peace because you would have dealt with that emotion in the past, and that will help you feel much, much better. I hope that answers your question. I definitely want you to follow that tactic and write to me whether it worked or not. I am confident it will because it has worked for a lot of my clients and there is a lot of research done behind it. But nonetheless, write to me, tell me how it worked out, and if you still need any help, I am available. The next question that I have, my fifth question for today, oh, actually, my fourth question for today is I am unable to sleep. I feel anxious, disturbed. I have nothing to worry about, and yet I'm not happy. So, the phenomenon that you're describing is something that is very common. So, to begin, hi Ashish, thank you for writing in. I have what you experience is not something that is uncommon. I don't want you to get disturbed or anxious about feeling that way. Let's see if we can try and help you. So, on the face of it, right, when you write to me that I am disturbed, I am unable to sleep, I am anxious, the first thing that comes to my mind is that there is a thought that is disturbing you. There is something in your life that is rattling your cage, and you have to understand what that event is, what that trigger is that is really causing so much of anxiety in your life. Because uh, once you identify that trigger, you will be able to backtrack and find a sense of peace and calm in your life. Second thing that can be going on with you is something called as cognitive dissonance, which means that over years, see, all of us evolve. To be human is to evolve. So it's quite possible that maybe 5 years ago, your value system was XYZ. And then over the years, as you have grown older, you have maybe become a more spiritual person. You have grown in maturity. You have seen the world. And your value system has evolved from X, Y, and Z to maybe X, Y, A, and B. So that variable Z fell off that list. And you have two new variables attached to you. So the question is that even though life seems hunky dory for you, life seems that everything is going fine, but maybe something in your life is now going against the new value system that you have adapted to. I can give you very simple examples. Maybe when you were younger and you were working hard uh, and you were ambitious, you decided and in your head you justified that it is okay for me to not spend that much of time with my family because my main motive and my main intention is to earn and provide for my family, to get successful, to be successful while still age is with me. And that's what you did. And now you've reached a point where you have more time in your life, perhaps. And suddenly, as you have grown, you realized with spirituality, with age, with maturity, that children and time really matters, that relationships and connection really matters to you right now. Now, with this kind of value system, if you are continuing on that path of not finding time for them, because that has really become a habit for you and your family, right? So, everyone at home is now habituated with their space, with their free time, with not being questioned, with not spending time with each other. And suddenly, uh, In your mind, you have that urge of spending time with them, of bonding with them, for whatever reason, and you're not doing that, there are going to be thoughts of insecurity that creep in. There is going to be disturbance that happens to you. It is going to disturb your sleep in the night. This is a simple example of what cognitive dissonance is. So if this is an issue, or the issue that we earlier spoke about, then what I want you to do is A, self reflect and build self awareness. B, definitely go talk to a life coach or a psychotherapist, because they will be able to guide you and build that kind of self awareness within you to help you identify why, where, and what is troubling you. It is very, very important. Do not ignore this, because keep in mind, something that is troubling you today can become that's something Herculean tomorrow. It can grow to become a really mammoth experience, and you don't want that. Today, it is something minuscule. It can be tackled. Tomorrow, if that feeling of hollowness and shallowness grows because you are unable to figure out what's hurting you, it can lead to neurological and psychological issues, which is not what we want to do. So, do keep that in mind, please. Um, and I think, and if there is any other issue besides that, in either case, when you go to a psychotherapist or you go to a counselor, they should be able to help you with it. I hope I have answered your question. And go see someone, Ashish. I think it's very important that you should take an appointment. However it is, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. But if you are disturbed, thank you so much for reaching out. More power to you. Definitely go figure out what is it that is disturbing you. The next fifth question that I have for today is, in fact, I have multiple people who have asked me in different ways. The question is, what is the motivation behind taking liability for non paying clients? Excuse me. Why am I spending so much time on something that I am not directly benefiting from? Words are different, but the question remains, where I understand that, where people are questioning the authenticity of what's being done. The motivation is very simple. Um, and I want to create a positive space. I am doing this to create a positive space for everybody. Am I invested in it to make a name for myself, to grow? Relevance is important, yes, and only with relevance comes the power and influence to actually make a difference. And that is unfortunately how the world works. But am I really taking liability for non paying clients? Why am I even dealing with non paying clients? Because that's important for me. That truly is my motivation. My motivation is to make a difference and to help you. Look at it. We are at episode 9. I have people writing in. I am making a difference. My consumer, you, my viewer, you, my audience, is getting benefited from it. So, is there no benefit in it? There is. There is mutual benefit in it. Uh, so while you are saying that I'm not getting, yes, maybe there is no monetary or commercial aspect of it, but I have that arm where I am also dealing with my clients. But for me, this is a very important aspect of why I'm doing this. And I'm hoping that with time, with relevance, I'm able to grow this so that we can really create a positive community where we are helping to build each other up, and not uh, not tearing each other down through labels and questioning each other, because emotional and mental wellness is most important, and especially as we move ahead, given the situation of the lockdown, This will become more relevant and more important, and I want all of us to stay united and stand tall in this. Pardon me, my throat seems to be a little sore right now. My sixth question is, this is an interesting question. She says, we were supposed to get married, but due to lockdown, it has been moved to next month. I don't think I want to get married anymore. Hi, and I understand why you want to be anonymous. Thank you so much for writing in. Don't worry about what you're feeling. See, what you're feeling is the normal marriage jitters that a person has, right? And I understand that if you are anxious, if there is a feeling of fear or doubt in your mind right now, but while jitters are normal, I do want to talk about a few other things to understand what's really going on and to make sure that there is no psychological impact in your mind and there's no situation that needs that warrants extra attention. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, dear bride to be, is why are you feeling nervous? Is it because that your conversation with your fiance right now has become a little more serious, and you are feeling that seriousness and that expectations from a bride, from a wife, to creep into your life? Are you worried about being a wife to someone? Are you worried about expectations at this point in time when you are going to be locked down? Are you um, what are you seeing signs in the conversation with your fiance where you feel that maybe there is a lack of understanding? Are you feeling that you are becoming impatient and so is he? There is something that is happening that is triggering you to think this way. I want you to pay acute attention to what that might be, and that's very, very important before you get married. Also, keeping in mind that the jitters that you're feeling are completely normal. Second thing that I want you to do is ask yourself that, are you feeling this way because you're bored? Is it just nervousness? Is it because all the excitement of shopping, preparing for the wedding, going for a honeymoon, seeing a place, romance, do you feel all that excitement has dampened because of the COVID situation and the lockdown? And you feel that maybe the fun out of the marriage has actually gone away. And because there is no more fun in marriage, you feel that, is it really worth getting married at this point? And really, all you have to do is put your head down and get into the world of responsibility immediately. If that is what you're feeling, then that is extremely normal. You should not be worried about it. In fact, the way to deal with it is to talk to your fiance. Talk to him that you were really excited and happy about getting married. Talk to him that you were really looking forward to going for your honeymoon, of making memories. You were excited about the romance in your marriage and you're worried that that won't happen. Your husband, your fiance is going to be your best friend. So it is very, very important that you talk to him and discuss with him, because eventually you're going to be each other's best friends. You're going to be each other's mates. So there is no one else who can really help you deal with the situation but he himself. The other thing that I want you to ask yourself is the responsibility of being a wife. Are you getting nervous by it? Are you getting nervous about becoming a daughter in law, about the expectations that they might have from you, especially given all the romance and excitement from a relationship has been depleted? Again, if that's the case, I want you to talk to someone who has been married, because they will help you walk you through your emotions and set your expectations in a manner that will benefit you. I definitely don't want you to get into a marriage with incorrect expectations. Because what's going to happen, sweetie, is that if you get married with these expectations, then within a few months, it's quite possible that you guys will run into issues. And I do not want any relationship issues in any married life. So if you are having nervousness or second thoughts about it, go talk to someone who you feel is happily married, someone who's mature and sensible. It is imperative and important that you choose this person in a manner that benefits you and does not scare you. The last thing I want you to think about, which I mentioned earlier, is are you picking up signs of violence? Are you picking up signs of being incompatible with him? Are you picking up signs of maybe being forceful, being possessive, anything that is jarring with who you are as a person? Because in a way, you are lucky that because of the lockdown, it is also enabling us to see those sides in a person that we would not have seen earlier. If you are seeing a certain side or experiencing something that is not really resonating with you, I think it is time for you to accept it and go talk about it. I don't want you to make assumptions. See, the biggest mistake that people make is we assume that the other person is wrong because really it is the lack of our own understanding. If there is something in your fiance or in your partner that you feel is troubling you, this is the time to go talk to him, to go ask him, see how he deals with it. If you are able to if he is able to deal with you in a mature fashion, if he is able to address your concerns in a way that is beneficial to both of you, you know you have found a life partner that you need to hold on to for the rest of your life. On the contrary, if he reacts in a manner that is agitated, that is volatile, then you have also done yourself a favor where you have figured out a side of him before actually tying your knot. So, either which way, it will be beneficial for you to tackle it and go talk to him once you have done some introspection on your own. So, all the best to you, and I hope this works out in a way that is beneficial to both of you. My last question for today is I am feeling unproductive at work, even though I am spending more hours working. Um, that again seems to be what is trending these days. See, we have to ask ourselves two things here, right? First, why are we being unproductive at work? Or the contrary, why is it that I was more productive at work when I was going to the office? What are my variables that made me productive at work? So, was it the cooler talk? Was it brainstorming with people? Was it the pressure that I had from my manager? Was it a particular person? Was it the environment? Was it the pressure? Identify your positive triggers that worked for you in becoming productive and pushing you to reach those milestones faster. Once you identify your positive triggers, it will be very easy for you to ape that or create that environment in your house. And once you try to create that environment at home, you will be productive in a manner that is more conducive to you. Number one. The second thing is that if you feel that it was a certain connection, it was a certain set of people that helped you being productive, I would encourage you to talk to those peoples. Set up time in your calendar, set up meetings, call it brainstorming meetings. It is different. There, you might have been brainstorming over lunch, over tea, over coffee, over a smoke break, over whatever. Here, in this scenario, in today's world, the difference is you will have to explicitly set up that meeting where you guys are talking. It doesn't necessarily have to be a brainstorming where you're really just talking shop. Bring about that kind of talk that worked for you. Talk about random things, talk about things that worked, and see if you're able to recreate that conversation and that context, which allowed the free flow of ideas and helped you become productive. So, one thing that I want to add here, where productivity is concerned, especially for humans, which I earlier spoke to you about, was that there are two laws where productivity is concerned, okay? The first law says that humans actually work better under deadlines. Think about it. If you have a task, summer, simple thing, right? Your kids and summer homework. All of us, most of the kids have holiday homework for the summer. There are certain children who will do it first and then be free, but the bulk of the kids are those that will procrastinate, that will leave it, and then only once the school is about to reopen, they will pick up that homework and get down to it. That is a very well known and established phenomenon, one that I'm sure that all of you know and are aware about. That comes under the first law of triviality. The second law is that um, we do something called as bike shedding. What that means is when we are given uh, the responsibility of tackling something big, something huge, our mind is unable to deal with it, right? When something becomes larger than life, when it becomes bigger to comprehend, larger to comprehend, what we do, unfortunately, is we push it aside and we start dealing with a smaller chunk that is actually more tangible. We start dealing with even insignificant portions of the project just so as to make progress, just so as to feel good about ourselves. This is where your sense of self worth and self esteem comes in. So, coming back to your productivity, why did I mention this? It is very important that perhaps you also reset your expectation and work your schedule and milestones in a way such that both the laws of triviality are followed. Number one, set milestones and goals that are tangible. Let your goals be in smaller chunks which are achievable. You need dopamine to be produced in your body. Dopamine is the reward hormone. So once you learn to break down your day to day tasks into smaller chunks, and as you are able to uh, accomplish those chunks, it releases dopamine, which is your reward hormone, and it makes you feel fulfilled and better as a person. So, the key to being successful is to do one of these things. The third thing that I want to talk to you about is if you are feeling unproductive, uh, then the third thing could be that maybe there is just some distraction at work, right? We spoke about an answer which was in a corporate setting, which was in a productive setting. Now let's talk about in a personal setting. What is preventing you from being productive? Is it something that is disturbing you personally? Is it a psychological issue? Is it something that is a distraction at home? Is it as simple as your children making noise in the background? Is it as simple as having a wife who is so loving and so beautiful that you're distracted by her presence? Or is there a psychological reason behind all of this that is troubling you? If it is as simple as a distraction, your solution there is just to identify that distraction and uh, then break down your task into smaller chunks. And once you break down into smaller chunks, you will be able to achieve it, and the cycle will follow. But if there is a psychological issue with it, if you feel you are disturbed and unable to work because of something that is really disturbing you mentally and emotionally, then I suggest that you go see a counselor or a psychotherapist because they will be able to identify what is really troubling you, what is your trigger, and how is it that they can work towards helping you find that trigger so that you can go back to being productive and being happy once again. Do not ignore the signs of unhappiness. As a community, it is very, very important that we take decisions. Being disturbed over extended periods of time is not okay. Keep in mind, an emotion is temporary, it needs to come and go. If there is an emotion that is lingering in your mindset, that is lingering within you, you know there is a problem. That, my friend, is a sign for you to reach out and seek help. Doesn't matter who you go to, could just be even a friend, a conversation with a friend. But when there is an emotion that is lingering on, bottom line, you need it looked at. It is not normal. That emotion could be happiness, frustration, irritability, silliness, clumsiness, anger, being upset, doesn't matter what. Emotion doesn't necessarily have to be negative. But if you are stuck in one state and one state of mind, pick yourself up and go get that appointment. With that, we have come to an end of another great episode of Great Questions. Thank you so much for writing in. And it is unbelievable for me also that we are actually already at 9 episodes, which means that we have done 2 months successfully and we have started our third month. So thank you so very much. Please keep your support coming in, your love, because that, as I always say, is really my motivation and the fuel that keeps me going. It is the reason why I come to you, and that truly is the benefit that I am seeking when I am doing this. See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Do follow my YouTube. There are a lot of videos there. There is a lot of self help material there. Likewise, on Facebook, I'm sure you will find a lot of the material there beneficial and useful as you chew on it and assimilate it. If you found this broadcast to be beneficial to you, then I think you should share it so that you are able to benefit someone else who can also uh, think about what was said and then use it in a manner that is beneficial for them. Because only once we share, only once we do our part of charity, can this world become better and can we actually start making a difference. All right. Uh, Bye for now. I shall see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Same time. Bye bye.